What's up, you all? Welcome back to another fun-filled show. I'm your host. He is Blanchard, aka Free Blanche, aka Blanchstradamus, aka Blanchy Kruger. Today's title is Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, and the Great Divide. Now, some of you all may not be coming to my YouTube channel because I haven't set my Instagram up to send you all over here, but hopefully you all can see the notifications and come to the this live. Hope everybody's doing well. What's up, Zoom 7K? Okay, we got some folks coming in, and that's good. That's good. But again, today's title is Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, and the Great Divide. What's up, Kofi? When I was watching this interview, a few things popped out that were very glaring and telling to me. The reason why, in my opinion, that Candace Owens had this interview with Nick Fuentes, well, maybe two reasons. Obviously, she tried to make him look bad. But the second reason, and the main reason, is that she wanted to separate herself from anti-Semitism. So what she did was she brought Nick Fuentes on the show. And when she starts the interview out, she literally says that he's anti-Semitic. And she doesn't say that people call you that. She doesn't say, are you that? She literally says you're anti-Semitic. And so to me, the purpose of this interview was for Candace Owens to not be considered anti-Semitic. And Nick Fuentes brings up the fact that she often has Jewish guests on her show that share her talking points. But then Nick Fuentes goes into how these people aren't really critical of the Israeli government. And I want to be clear. No, so my IG is, nobody's blocked on my IG. I just deactivated my IG, but nobody's blocked from IG. I don't know how long I'll be away, but I definitely will be back by Monday, but it may be sooner. I just don't know. Depends on how I feel, but nobody got blocked. No, they're not going to leave Candace Owens alone because Candace Owens is a part of the deception. And this is what I'm talking about when we have these people and we listen to them and we follow them, but in actuality, these people are on the take. So anyway, Candace Owens had Nick Fuentes on the show, and she starts the show by calling him anti-Semitic, and then she calls him racist. So what Candace Owens did was, it's called like a deflection, where you project what everybody's saying about you, you put it on somebody else. It's the old switcheroo. And that's what she did to Nick Fuentes. But in this interview, Nick Fuentes destroyed Candace Owens. Now, Princella, the Queen Maker, did not destroy Candace Owens. Even though Candace Owens wasn't arguing Princella's point, Candace Owens was arguing the intent behind Princella's point, not the actual literal definition of the patriarchy. She was arguing the intent that Princella was trying to convey. But the reason why Princella lost that debate is because Candace Owens asked her, well, why are women voting for, why are women voting against their best interests? Now, instead of Princella being honest and say, well, maybe not all women agree with me, maybe not all women are hardcore feminists, maybe women do believe that America is better if men are, like, instead of saying all of these things, she said that women were brainwashed into believing that voting that way is best for them. That's where she lost the debate. That's a cop-out. They're brainwashed. You mean to tell me that women don't have self-agency? Women can't make up their own mind? Women are always walking around like zombies? It's cap. So Princella didn't win a debate. But Nick Fuentes, this wasn't a debate, but Nick Fuentes won this interview. But let's get into it. Hopefully YouTube will let me play this. You know, Candace Owens decided to monetize this interview, maybe for reasons that because she looks so bad in it, or maybe because she feels like it's a controversial topic and she can get folks to pay for it. I don't know. But he made her look real bad. If you listen to Candace Owens is very articulate, but I wouldn't say that she's intellectually savvy more than she's manipulative savvy. She's more manipulative savvy than intellectual savvy. So in this interview, it was manipulation because she was acting like she didn't know what he was talking about. And again, the purpose of this interview was to show people that this is what anti-Semitism is. It's not me, it's him. It was a very disingenuous interview. It was very, it was bad. And it really showed who Candace Owens really was. And I told you all before that she's a contrarian, she's an opportunist. So contrarian in that when she's sitting in the room with Nick Fuentes, she can't agree with him. That goes against her brand. She can't agree with him. Now she can agree with somebody that agrees with her that's Jewish because it adds to her point, but she can't agree with Nick Fuentes. And then Candace Owens in this interview, she played the race card like she did with another interview I saw where she starts bringing up these bliggity talking points. And again, this is Candace Owens doing this. I'm not listening. Then you got a copyright A2R2. See, that's what I was wondering about the copyright. That's what I was wondering, but I saw folks on YouTube playing the video, so I was like, okay, maybe I'm good. But I'm not telling you all not to follow Candace Owens or not listen to her. I don't tell y'all can follow who you want to follow, listen who you want to listen to. I mean, it's you know, but I will say that do I believe that her intentions are good? No. But do I believe that most folks' intentions are good in the industry? No, I don't. Like, I don't separate Candace Owens from anybody else. I don't say that it's because Candace Owens is a low-hanging fruit. And I saw a few pastors. I wonder if I have this clip, but I saw a few pastors in the pulpit preaching about Candace Owens. I saw pastors in the pulpit preaching about Candace Owens. I don't know if I still have. I thought I sent it to my. Maybe I have. I don't know. Maybe not. Yeah, it was. Maybe it's this one. I don't know. Maybe it's. Let me see something. Yeah, I found it. I'm gonna just play it real quick and share my disgust with it because you can't tell me that God told you to talk about Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson in the pulpit. I'm never going to believe that. You can't tell me that. I'm never going to believe that. Like I said, it's a low-hanging fruit. And we have to admit that there are people that pander to Israel. There are people that kiss up to Israel. Like it is what it is. So all these folks that are saying, I love Israel, I stand with Israel, are they genuine? I don't believe all of them are. I believe they're kissing up, they're brown nosing, and they're pandering. I do. Just like anything else. There's a clip I might be able to get to where Trump told Benjamin Netanyahu to chill in Gaza. And then Benjamin Netanyahu went out the next day and just went ham. I'm like, how is Benjamin Netanyahu not listening to Trump, but you're getting aid from the United States? It just like we have to be like, we got to be honest. In no other situation does that fly. If the U.S. is giving aid to Kenya and Trump tells the Kenyan president how to do something, they do it the next day, everybody's going to talk about it. But when Bibi did it, nobody said a word. I keep telling you all that this whole chosen people narrative is going to make you compromise your character. I've never seen anybody righteously convey that they were chosen, ever. LeBron James tatted the chosen one on his back. LeBron James called himself the chosen one. I've never seen anybody convey that they were chosen in a righteous manner. Never. Because what it breeds is entitlement. It just does. It breeds entitlement. And we got to be honest. But I'm going to just play this clip real quick.
Anti-Semitism is just exploding in the church. The ignorance is exploding. Conservative voices, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Mark Dykes, they don't get it. They say God's done with Israel.
Some of you listen to Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, and these guys are anti-Semitic. I don't care what anyone says. I'm going to say it. They're anti-Semitic.
Maybe you're familiar with Candace Owens. Candace was someone 3-4 years ago I was so impressed by. Smart, articulate, generally, has a more conservative worldview. But she has gone off the rails. She is a full-blown anti-Semitic, Jew-hating person. And her theology is a part of that.
That's what actually Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, others are saying. We should not get involved with the conflicts in other nations, right? Well, number one, it's not that simple. Again, this is a regime that wants to wipe America off the face of the map, in addition to Israel.
What is happening with Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens right now? Genesis does say, I will bless those who bless you, and I'm going to curse those who curse you.
I'm sorry, but we cannot just keep letting people get away with this. I'm talking about the Tucker Carlsons and the Candace Owens and everyone who screamed that World War III is coming the literal second that America or Israel acted against Iran.
If you're a Christian, please do not get your beliefs on Israel from Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens. Get your beliefs from the Bible.
Brothers and sisters in Christ, do not listen to people like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. At this point, cut them off. They have that same demonic spirit flowing through everything that they're saying.
I am speechless, man. The problem is that if people are listening to my podcast, they probably are not the kind of person that can be easily programmed. That's what I would say. You're not going to be able to just say stuff and expect them to just go, oh, okay. They're going to go, wait a minute. They're going to do their own research. They're going to come at me with facts if I'm missing something. Like, it's the wrong audience for that. It's so obvious what people are doing. It's so obvious. This has always been a psych game, that it's all about, can we create a psychosis if we keep saying 6 feet social distancing, 6 feet social distancing, save lives, wear a mask, save lives, wear a mask. Like, we get it. I'm about to make a video. What's the bounty? I'll do it right now. What happened to Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson? It says right here in the Bible that we'll be blessed if we go to war, and we have to go to war. What happened?
So, yeah, but, and I'm going to say this too. So, of course, I don't necessarily agree with everything that Candace Owens says. Obviously, nor Nick Fuentes, but I don't feel like they should be called anti-Semitic. Questioning something doesn't mean, because the definition of anti-Semitism is prejudice or hostility to Jewish people. I don't think a person questioning something or going by scripture to believe something is necessarily anti-Semitic. But getting in a pulpit and saying someone is anti-Semitic, to me, is satanic. Getting in a pulpit and calling someone racist is satanic. Getting in a pulpit and saying that someone is transphobic or homophobic is satanic. The pulpit isn't for you to get your political rocks off. It's just not. The pulpit is for you to speak God's word that should have been divinely inspired. I seriously doubt you prayed to God and got confirmation from the Holy Spirit to talk about Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. I just don't believe it. And again, we can agree that there's a lot of pandering that's going on with Israel. It's a low-hanging fruit to attack Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. It's a low-hanging fruit to say America's racist. Black people are oppressed. These are low-hanging fruit talking points. If a person does, let me give you all a scenario. What if we were back in biblical times and God had just told Abraham, I'm going to bless those that bless you, and I'm going to curse those that curse you. Let's say God said that to Abraham, and Abraham was feeling good. Meanwhile, I'm walking on the road next to Abraham. Abraham looks at me and thinks I owe him some money. So Abraham runs over there and he punches me in the face. Now I get up and I beat the brakes off Abraham. My question for you all is, will I be cursed? Abraham saw me, thought I owed him some money. He went over there, hit me in the mouth. I got up, I beat the brakes off Abraham. Will I be cursed? Right, Tier, we are still in biblical times. You're right. Tierra said no. Pamela said no. So the point I'm making is the Bible says that children should honor their mother and their father so their days can be long on the earth. But then the verse after that, it says, parents, don't give your children a reason to dishonor you. The point I'm making is Abraham has to be in right standing with God for that to apply. I'm going to bless those that bless you and curse them that curse you. But Abraham has to be in right standing with God. Abraham can't be out here reckless. He can't be out here causing havoc, because people's responses to that are not going to be seen as cursing. So when God is talking to Abraham and telling him this, he's telling Abraham this based on Abraham's character. So he's saying, Abraham, because you are this righteous man, I'm going to bless those that bless you, and I'm going to curse those that curse you, based on who you are, based on your faith, based on your character. But if Abraham gets out of pocket, now how does God determine the blessings and the curses? How does God determine blessings and curses if Abraham's out of pocket? So my point is that this not this free-for-all where I get to just say I'm chosen, I get to do whatever I want to do. That's not how that works. You have to be in right standing with God for that to work. How is God going to sift through all the chaos you causing to know who to curse and know who to bless? And you wreaking havoc. So my point is, I'm trying to make, hope I'm making it, is that chosen still has to be in right standing with God. You have to be in right standing with God for that verse to apply. If Abraham is out of pocket, how was God going to determine who done blessed him and who done cursed him? Because technically, maybe he got blessed if I put my hands on him. I don't know. They call that blessing sometimes. I'm going to bless you. Yeah, it's because I figured out it's because of my thumb. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is it's not a free-for-all for anybody. Holding someone accountable, whether people agree or not, is not anti-anything. Saying that I believe you're in error doesn't mean I hate or I'm prejudiced or I don't want people to exist. That's nonsense. That's why I do not like the term I don't like the term. I think it's awful. I put anti-Semitism up there with racism, transphobia, all the nonsense. Anti-black, microaggressions. I put it with all of that. Because what it does is when you say the word, it dumbs down the conversation. And to me, the reasons why race relations seem bad is because people are having dialogue, but they're not sitting down talking with each other. Like, it's content everywhere, people talking, but rarely do we see people at a table talking that they can really just have a civil discussion. I don't have to agree with you. You ain't got to agree with me. This is why I believe that this is not going to work. This is why you believe it is going to work. Like, it's just simple. And at the end of the day, we can still respect each other. Because most people want to live a decent life. Where it gets confusing is when people start following certain agendas and listening to certain people. You get distracted and get confused. But most people truly just want a regular life. But anyway, my point is that in this interview, though, Candace Owens was trying to separate herself from what I want to say is far-right anti-Semitic group. And if you watch the interview, she literally calls him anti-Semitic in the beginning. The interview starts off bad. But hopefully, I can play this. Thank you, Angel Wings. I'm gonna try to play these clips, and hopefully I don't get the copyright. Hopefully I don't. I need y'all to, if y'all can, just pray I don't get the copyright. Just pray.
As Dave Smith, for all the flack that he's getting.
Then he's out there having to fight amongst these pro-Israel people. He's fighting the same Zionists that we are on the topic of Israel. And on top of that, he's got to deal with Nick Fuentes talking trash about him because he's like, well, this is just, who cares? If he can't help who he is. I couldn't help but I was black and disagreed with BLM. I'm just black and disagree with BLM,
Well, here's the reason why. It's a little bit irritating because Dave Smith, for all the flack that he's getting, he remains on YouTube. He's been on YouTube the whole time. He remains on Twitter. He's been on Twitter the whole time. He has bank accounts. He has payment processors. And now that people are waking up about Israel, they want to invite a Jewish person on to tell us we're not real anti-Semites, we're not Holocaust deniers, but maybe something's wrong with Israel. And here I am, having been banned on YouTube, been banned by banks, every streaming platform, all of it condemned, life destroyed, and people still are gatekeeping me and saying, you're a real anti-Semite. And I'm saying, well, obviously we didn't come far enough. So I don't doubt his sincerity. He's a big boy. He doesn't mind that I'm trash talking him. And I still consider him a friend, even though I've been critical of him. But we have to go a little bit further than to say something's up with the Zionists or Israel. It's not Israel. It is the Jews. And I think that Dave Smith, being a Jewish libertarian, I don't think he's ready to go that far. I don't think he is.
I want to know what you mean by that. So just so we're clear, is your perspective that if people don't platform you, it's because they don't want to go too far?
It may be that they aren't that far ideologically, but then that's my job to push them farther. And that's why I say it. That's why I say, maybe
they just disagree with you. But that's another thing. Maybe they
should
just
have me on the
disagree
show,
with you.
But I'm gatekept.
Okay, but
so again, I would say this about what he said. Now, I'm not going to say that it's all a group of people. Just like there are people in the Black community that pull the strings, there are people in the Jewish community that pull the strings, people in the LGBTQ community that like every group of people have the string pullers. Every group, every nation, everybody has an elite set of people that pull the strings that have agendas. Everybody has this. But I'm not going to condemn a whole entire group of people and say they're all in on it. I don't believe that the average Jewish person knows what's going on. I don't. just like the average black person don't. Like the average person of any group doesn't really know what's going on. When we watch The Matrix, like I said before, everybody in The Matrix, most of the people can be used by the agents because they don't know anything. They're none the wiser. They're just going through the program. They're literally walking through a program. That's what makes them hackable. So most people are literally programmed and they're able to be hacked. So I don't agree that all of any group is doing something. There are elites of all groups of people. Now, him wanting to push people further, that's just his vision, his mission, I guess. But him saying that he's deplatformed and he's demonetized and all this thing, well, that comes with the territory. That comes like anybody that's a trendsetter or trailblazer, that comes with the territory. You know, I lost 3 bank accounts. Listen, Chase, I lost 3 bank accounts. I already lost a YouTube channel. Like I've already been through all of this. So I know what happens when you dare to go against the narrative. But in my opinion, talking about Jews isn't going against the narrative. That ain't truly the narrative. What I saw was truly going against the grain was talking about Black culture, because that is what the machine uses to influence this world, is Black culture. That's what got my accounts canceled and pages taken down and demonetizations. It's talking about Black culture. I can talk about Jews all day long, nothing's gonna happen. But when I talk about Black culture, I was getting, you wouldn't believe, they was just snatching videos down. I'm talking about snatching them down. One video, I literally blurred, it was a guy and his 4-year-old daughter was giving him a lap dance. She was twerking on him. And I left a comment on their page. I did a video and I literally, now keep in mind, the video was viral. That video was viral. Everybody was showing the video, but nobody showed the video from my standpoint. You know what I did? I literally blurred the entire video out to where you couldn't even see nothing. They still took it down. They still took it down and said it was inappropriate. And you couldn't even see what was going on in the video. But it wasn't what I was showing. It was what I was saying. So Nick Fuentes, I would just tell him that this is par for the course. You chose to go out there and blaze new trails. This is what happens. The people that start the movements always get the least credit and the most scrutiny. This is how it works. But let's continue.
I'm provocative. That's part of it. And you know,
If I were to host you and that was the clip that's coming out, do you think people are going to go, yeah, you know, that just made me realize here I am, just believing that we should, I'm a normal conservative like you. You said you were 18. I like these people. And the first thing I hear Nick Fuentes say is, Dave, they're not going to think that you're a good person.
This is concern trolling. I'm sorry,
No,
but this is tone policing, and this is concern trolling.
It's not. No, it's
it,
not.
It is
it's
absolutely.
not tone policing. Hold up. Let's back it up because I'm going to let you speak. It is not tone policing. What I am saying, like some people just aren't there wherever you are.
Okay, but I missed the part where I condemned him. And I talked about the Dave Smith part repeatedly. And by the way, you're mixing it up and saying, well, you know, if people watch the show, what are they going to think if they see that clip?
I'm just trying to say to you, why would someone maybe say,
can I talk? Can I answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Come on.
Go ahead.
I mean, so, you know, look, I'm a funny guy. I'm bombastic. I'm provocative. That's part of it. And you know what? You can concern troll and tone police about, you know, whether
tone police. I wouldn't
you
have
kind
you
of
on
are,
if I'm
you know,
tone policing
you
and
call
playing
Dave
your clips.
Smith Jew this. We're laughing during the clip.
Yeah,
You and I are
it's
laughing.
funny.
It's funny. And
I'm
that's
laughing at you making fun of me. I don't mind you making fun of me.
Yeah, and I don't mind
chill.
you making fun of me if you've ever done that. I mean, and I'm chill too.
No, I don't care. I'm not, like I said, I told you. It's funny.
I like that about you because I think that you're hardcore. I think we're kind of similar in that way. We don't have thin skin. So I appreciate that about you. And I know that Dave Smith is the same way. And I said on that show and other shows, I like him. I think he's a good guy. And I agree with you. I think he's sincere and I respect him. And I think he's a good person, actually.
He is.
But I do think that we disagree. And to the extent that I'm critical of the situation, it's not a personal directed at him. I know maybe it comes across that way or it sounds like that to you, but I've said it repeatedly on my show in and that's not the only time I talked about it. I said the problem is this idea, and again, intentional or not, that we need permission from a Jewish person sitting there so that we're not real anti-Semites to talk about the issues. And I also disagree with Dave Smith on the extent of it. Now, maybe he fundamentally disagrees. I'd love to talk to him about it. That'd be fine with me. But it does come from a place of disagreement. I'm not condemning him.
I
I'm
think
not
he genuinely
condemning
just
anyone.
disagrees with you. And that's kind of the point I'm
I agree
trying to
with
say
you.
when I say don't internet too hard, is that sometimes you can assign a conspiracy where it's just not, that's not the motive. Like,
So basically, she was sticking up for someone, and he was telling her that just because he disagrees with the person doesn't mean he's condemning them. And if you notice in this interview, you're going to see that Candace Owens is acting like a liberal. This is who, in this interview, this is who Candace Owens really is. She's not conservative. She's a feminist. I'm just telling you, in this interview, you can tell. She only had this interview to separate herself from the far right / anti-Semitic whatever group. That's all this interview was about. And she used this. She tried to belittle Nick Fuentes. She tried to make him look bad. She tried to make him look, she said he was anti-Semitic. She tried to say he was racist, like all these things, because again, she's trying to separate herself from that group. Now, in this interview, though, I believe that Nick Fuentes was honest with how he really feels. She asked him, does he, let me play the clip. Let me go through these stickers first because they coming in. Idris Singleton said, God doesn't have two covenants. The belief that Jews are chosen people is a new belief from 1830. It was pushed in the Schofield Bible. The only Christians that believe this are Southern Baptists, which most Americans are. Idris Singleton, I would think that most, I would say that most Americans do, believe, follow the Schofield, the Schofield notes in the Bible. I would say, another thing too, this anti-Semitism thing is a small group of people. The majority of people don't care about Jews or Israel. They just don't. The people that dislike Israel or Jews or whatever is a very small segment of the population. Most folks don't care, and those that do care siding with Israel. So I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill. I don't believe personally there's this big movement to go against Jews. I don't believe it. I believe like any other group, it's small groups that always go against the grain. They're going to always have conspiracy theories. They're always going to, you're never going to get rid of that, ever. But thank you, Idris Singleton. Thank you, D5280 for the super sticker. Thank you so much. My boy Calvin, appreciate it, Calvin. Much love, big dog. Thank you so much, Calvin. I really appreciate it. That's UK the Joker. Y'all check him out on UK the Joker on iTunes, on all streaming platforms. iTunes, Spotify. I think he said he was on another one. Maybe Tidal. Is Tidal still around? I don't know, but definitely IG and Spotify and YouTube. But thank you, Calvin. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. But let's get back to it. I'm trying to find here we go. I'm just trying to get to these clips because all the clips look the same. They all look the same. I'm just trying to get to the good ones. But basically, that's him talking about the person, Dave Smith. And she tried to get on him by going against Dave Smith. But like he said, he just disagrees with him. And we got to be mature about this. Just because I disagree with something doesn't mean I hate it. We have to be mature about this. Like we can't just keep saying, because what you're saying is I have to agree with something. If you're telling me if I disagree, I hate something, then you're telling me that I have to agree with something. Then what kind of state is that? And Tierra just said it. Tierra said, why are y'all worried about the Jews if they said by 2030, you're going to own nothing and be happy? And then by 2050, you're going to be on universal basic income with the AI takeover. Let's be honest, y'all. Let's be honest. Think about what they're saying is going to happen, right? Think about revelations in the Bible. Think about Agenda 2030. Think about Agenda 2050. Think about everything that's going on in the big scheme of things. What does all this stuff matter if in the end you're going to have an AI takeover, a universal basic income, and you're not going to own anything? What does all this matter? That's why I don't really listen to it. And to me, it's all a distraction. Because if they're telling you this is where the world is headed, but be concerned with this right now, is foolish to me. Why would I? Y'all just dangling the carrot all the way to the cliff. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not buying it, and I'm not doing it. I'm not buying it, and I'm not doing it.
You know, I'm an unknown quantity to you. I come from a different world. Well, and I think suffice to say, unfortunately, in this space, there is a lot of distrust, I think, on both sides because there's so much deception and so much intimidation and bullying and these shady tactics that, you know, when you don't know everybody, you really don't know what to make of everybody else. You know, I'm an unknown quantity to you. I come from a different world. I'm a young man. I'm on the political outside. I'm on Cozy TV. You're an unknown to me. You're in the belly of the beast at Turning Point and Daily Wire. And I don't mean that to cast aspersions, but just to say we're coming at each other from completely different worlds. And I've always been in my world. You're sort of leaving that world and coming to these views. And I think there's sort of a mutual distrust and maybe misunderstanding, which is why it's good to sit down and chat, you know?
Yeah. Well, and by the way, you can say whatever you
For the record, Candace Owens never said that Nick Fuentes lied on her. She never said that. She never said that he told any lies on her. She said he was talking about her, but he gave reasons as to why he was talking about her. And again, in this interview, giving him crap is different than her saying he's anti-Semitic. That's something different. Saying he's racist is something different. Like she could have went, you know, I don't like what you said. I think you're a loser. I think you're a beta. I get that. That's not what she did. She said the talking points, the propaganda talking points. You're anti-Semitic and you're racist. So I get her being upset with him talking about her, but that's not what she did in this interview. She first wanted to separate herself from Nick Fuentes and to say he's the anti-Semite, he's the racist.
want on your show, but I would just encourage you to like maybe sometimes think people are just not where you're at sometimes. And I have to check myself at times. And I think
No one's around that.
I think having the exercise.
I'm in the future.
Okay. You're with Ye in the future. Ye somewhere in the future.
I'm 5 years ahead. You
okay,
say,
let me ask you some of these questions.
Like, look, Nick is joking. Candace ain't trying to joke. You think Candace trying to joke? Candace did this interview on a mission. She never let her guard down in this interview. Never. She never let her guard down in this interview. This interview was strategic and it was done on purpose. I'm telling you, this whole interview was about separating herself from the far right and the quote unquote anti-Semites. Conspic Mom, you nailed it. This interview was only to fan the flames off of her and place it on Nick Fuentes. He was caught off guard with this confrontation. Thank you so much, Conspic Mom. Exactly. That's all she did. I'll tell you, it was an old bait and switch. It was the old 42 fake, you know. You know when they Sugar Ray Leonard would be swinging this arm and then hit you with the right. You know, he might be swinging the right like this and then pop you with the left. That's all it was. Thank you, Conspic Mom. T. King said, remember what Candace was doing with Crowder's wife and was quiet as a church mouse when the wife testified in court. I believe it. Because again, again, I'm gonna say this, right? I know one thing's for certain: people gonna hold me accountable. People gonna hold me accountable. They're not gonna let me say one thing on Monday and then come back and say they're not gonna let me do it. People gonna hold me accountable. People gonna hold me accountable. They ain't gonna let me get away with, if I say something and I was wrong. First of all, I'm gonna say I was wrong. You ain't gotta tell. I'm gonna say it, but people ain't gonna let me slide.
2018.
Okay, so you were 18 years old when that happened. How old are you now?
I'm 26.
Okay, so that was a long time ago.
Yes.
And since then, would you say that going through that period of being rejected when you were literally just asking questions from people who were your friends and then kind of sold down the river, did that then make you go, okay, no, actually, I do hate Jews because of what you're doing to me? I'm now responding, and my response is, I hate you all.
No, I never said I hated all Jews, and I've always had Jewish friends. You know, Laura Loomer actually used to be a friend of mine back in 2018. We did a show together in June 2018. I had a Jewish assistant at one point in 2019 after the Groyper War. I'm a Catholic. I've always been a Catholic. I'm a cradle Catholic. So I've never hated anybody. You know, I do have some provocative statements and some controversial views, but I never said they're attacking me, now I hate them all. I never took it that far. But what it did do is it demonstrated that, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, if you're pushing on something and you get that hard of a pushback, I'm thinking, I'm not a big deal. I'm an 18-year-old kid. I don't have a big show. What do people care what I have to say? If I'm pushing on this and I'm getting forceful response from these institutions, Campus Reform, Daily Wire, the rest of it, I'm thinking something must be up. So what I did is I just kept pursuing that line of inquiry and saying, well, you know, if this is what they don't want us to talk about, this is what we should be talking about. Obviously, there's something they're hiding there. And this led, what I would describe it as is like an 8-year inquiry. You know, I've been digging into this subject for 8 years, and it's sort of a difficult subject because since it is so taboo and since it is so censored, there's like this layered deception where the first layer is they make it so that you don't even want to think about it. No one wants to be thinking about the Jews, you know, or Israel. And certainly nobody wants to be on the wrong side of that. No one wants to be called an anti-Semite or a Nazi or a Hitler. That's sort of layer one. But layer two, because there's so much censorship, you don't even know where to get the information. If somebody wants to know more about this topic, try Googling it. All the search results are curated. If you go on Wikipedia, the sources are curated. So where do you go next? Well, you have to go to the kooks and the cranks and people that have been canceled. Some of them have been canceled because there are hateful people in this world that do hate Jews. There are people out there that are schizophrenic, but they're lumped in, censored, and called names and banished from society, just like the real scholars, just like people like Ron Owens, just like people like Michael Collins Piper, you know, people that have investigated this and are intelligent, logical people. And so once you sort of descend into the second layer, you know, the second ring of hell of being an anti-Semite, then you have to parse out the information and discern what's real, what's fake. You know, is it a religious thing? Is it a racial thing? Is it an Israel thing, a nation state thing? And then there's subtleties even beyond that, you know.
So let me say this about Nick Fuentes. You all got to understand that Nick Fuentes, this happened to him when he was 18. He was a kid. Now, I want you to think about, he's 26 now. So imagine 18 to 26, his formative years, he's being treated like a national security threat. Like, so I just want to contextualize the state of mind of an 18-year-old experiencing what he experienced. Even if it's his own fault, even if it was his own doing, still he was 18. So imagine being 18 and all this stuff happened to you and your mind isn't even fully developed. And I'm speaking as a grown man, I'm speaking for a young man. Just imagine being 18, going what he went through, and then having that shape your development. So now you're 18, now you're 19, now you're 20. All of your formative years, where you really, the years you becoming a man, is spent under scrutiny, is spent believing you're doing a righteous cause, it's spent like all of this time you're supposed to be maturing as a man and going through life's challenges and through, dating and all of this stuff. He didn't go through that. That ain't what he was doing. I was in the club. I was on South Beach. I might have been in Vegas. I was partying. From 18, I was in college, living my best life, being decadent. Like from 18 to 26, I know what I was doing. And it wasn't nothing productive. Nothing. I obviously got undergrad degree and master's degree, but as far as my life, social life, my free time, it wasn't nothing productive. But my point is that I'm trying to just get you all to understand his mindset at this happening at 18, and now he's only 26. He's only 26 years old. And people are looking at Nick Fuentes like y'all are even saying he got an old man face. Like he's only 26. I didn't wake up till 5 years ago. I woke up 5 years ago. That means I was 42 years old when it clicked. He's 26. I'm not trying to give him an excuse or a pass. I'm simply saying, have we really seen somebody go through something like this at 18, whether they brought on themselves or not? Have we even seen it? Show me the blueprint on how to behave if you're 18 going through this to 26. Give me the roadmap. We're all judging Nick Fuentes, but none of us have even come close to being in his shoes. None of us. We've been in Candace Owens' shoes because Candace Owens started out liberal and then got paid by the NAACP. Then she went conservative. Then she went womanly, non-feminist. Then she went ultra conservative. Then she went Candace Owens' transformation. Most of us have gone through that, but we ain't went the Nick Fuentes route. We ain't did it at 18. We ain't went at 18 throwing ourselves in the line of fire and then having to process all that at 18 and then having to grow as a man during that too. And then have to go through life's ups and downs, maturities, loss, sorrow, heart, everything that men go through from 18 to 26. He had to go through all of that and do this. And again, I'm not telling you all to give him a pass or make any excuses. I'm just simply saying that he's 26. He's 26. Yes, T. Kangs. I was going, listen, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I was obligatory. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Let's continue.
Things I've been getting into on my show for the past few years, the deception is so much more convoluted and nuanced and subtle and ubiquitous than even people think. A lot of people think, and, not to kind of leap right into the topic, but people have a vague notion Israel has too much influence over our government. That's really just the tip of the iceberg. Because then you get into some of these people that have coalesced around Trump in the past couple of years after October 7th. And it's like there's an obvious reason why there's elements in the right. There's almost this form of camouflage they'll do. And one day they're limited government, another day they're white nationalists. Guys like Stephen Miller, who will present as very racialist and very nationalistic, very conservative, but yet still extremely loyal to Israel. And you start to say it's not just that Israel influences the government. It's not just there's some vague thing going on. There is this pervasive penetration of our society by a fifth column. And it's so sophisticated and multidimensional and spans many disciplines. It's such a huge topic that you almost have to be a little bit insane to tackle it and to get to the bottom of it, which is sort of me going through the looking glass over the past 8 years. So
And again, this is his opinion based on what he's researched and studied. I know Diamone said read a book. I don't know if he's read any books, but there are a lot of people that scholars, a lot of people that have documentation and have been thrown in jail behind this stuff. And there's I guess my point is that being critical of Israel isn't like it's just a brain dead thing. There are people that have dedicated their lives to exposing the truth. So it's not just people are just dumb and they just hateful, and that's not how that works. There are people on the left that have dedicated their lives to saying that America is racist. They have books, they have lectures, they have a whole lifetime's worth of content to say why America's racist. Do I think they're dumb? No. I just believe that they're taking a purview that shows America as being a racist. Then there's other people, for example, like Thomas Sowell, takes another purview because America isn't racist. Nick Fuentes' purview that he's looking at is saying that Israel is a problem. Another person's purview is to say Israel is not a problem. But it's not like either side is just having a brain dead thought. And when I'm talking about either side, I mean the folks that are actually vested in this. I don't believe most folks even care about this, honestly. I don't. But for the folks that are actually vested in it, I'm not just going to condemn everybody and say they all brain dead and dumb. No, I'm not going to do that. People have reasons, whether we agree or not, as to why they believe what they believe. And Nick Fuentes has been doing this for 8 years, so I think he kind of believes it. I think he believes what he's doing. Candace Owens is new to this. Nick Fuentes isn't. So, but I do think that Nick Fuentes actually believes what he's saying. But let's continue.
Anybody?
You don't hate anybody.
Mm.
Okay.
Now
And
listen.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
we'll see.
open-minded. Yeah.
We'll see. Okay, so you are a racist. You accept that. You are anti-Semitic. I don't like actually using that word because even that is what I mean, like trickery, where it's like Semitic. Palestinians are Semitic.
Right.
So it's nothing more anti-Semitic than blowing up Palestinians. Are you a Jew hater?
No, I don't hate
Do you
anybody.
hate Jews?
I don't hate Jews. I don't hate anybody.
You don't hate anybody.
Mm.
Okay. And your faith, you don't find that saying that you're a Catholic while also saying that you don't believe that whites and blacks should be married, or you don't believe in interracial marriage for whatever reason, that doesn't come.
Now look how she segued this conversation. You got to give Candace Owens credit. You know, this is she's showing you how women really, this is how women do. I'm sorry to say, this is how women do. Look how she segued this conversation. Look what she just did. Just listen to how she just started. This is a whole other paragraph right here. If she was writing, this is a new paragraph. No, this is a new chapter. Excuse me.
Okay, I'm
We'll see.
open-minded. Yeah.
We'll see. Okay, so you are a racist. You accept that. You are anti-Semitic. I don't like actually using that word because even that is what I mean, like trickery, where it's like Semitic. Palestinians are Semitic.
Right.
So it's nothing more anti-Semitic than blowing up Palestinians. Are you a Jew hater?
No, I don't hate
Do you
anybody.
hate Jews?
I don't hate Jews. I don't hate anybody.
You don't hate anybody.
Mm.
Okay. And your faith, you don't find that saying that you're a Catholic while also saying that you don't believe that whites and blacks should be married, or you don't believe in interracial marriage for whatever reason, that doesn't conflict with your Catholicism?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so look what she did. She made a statement. Okay, so you're racist, you're anti-Semitic, but I don't like using that word. So look at how she's separating herself. Now, we just saw all these pastors talking about how Candace Owens was anti-Semitic. So you got to ask yourself, how is it that Candace Owens is quote unquote anti-Semitic, but if you watch this interview, she don't agree with Nick Fuentes? It doesn't make any sense. Like you would think she would agree with him. He's been doing this longer. He shares some of her same points. Like, so why wouldn't she agree with him in this interview? Isn't that strange? Isn't it strange that she's literally talking to him like she don't share some of the same views that he has? I'm telling you why. Because what she's doing is she's trying to let the world know he's the anti-Semite, he's the racist, he's the fringe guy, he's the radical. I'm not. I'm doing it because I really care about the people. He's really a hater. He's really racist. He's really anti-Semitic. I told y'all it's the old switcheroo. You take it off of you and you put it on him. So now she's sitting back in an interview, not really agreeing with him, not really laughing. This thing was so strategic. Somebody earlier said it was emotional. She's not emotional in this interview. She is very calculated and very strategic. She is very calculated and very strategic. So when he's talking to her, why is she acting so like she don't know what he's saying? If you watch the interview, she's like, huh? Like she's acting like she don't know what he's talking about. Knowing good and well, she watches Nick Fuentes. Knowing good and well, she been watching Nick Fuentes. If she went on the side to question Israel or the Israeli government, there is no way she wasn't listening to Nick Fuentes. There's no way. So to get on this show and act this disingenuous just screams to me one of two things. Either you want to get in somebody's good graces or you're being paid by somebody's good graces. I don't know. That's just where my mind goes. Either you're trying to get in somebody's good graces or you're being paid by somebody's good graces. I don't know. But that's what comes to mind.
Okay, but you said that like that's not a Catholic perspective.
It's not a sin. The Catholic Church doesn't say it's a sin to mix races, but there have been various Catholic authors that have said that it's not conducive to a long-term marriage to mix races because you have this clash, you have this dissonance between cultures, between different upbringings. And so they say if the selfless goal of a marriage is to rear children and you want to make that as conducive as possible, then you should marry within your race. It's not a sin if you don't.
Which Catholic author?
I don't know off the top of my head, but there are Catholic theologians that have said that. It's not conducive to a long-term marriage and stable.
Okay, jumping in here.
Yeah, so what somebody said it, Danny said it. The fact that Nick Fuentes isn't even fully white even makes this more comical. Like it's even more comical that his last name is Fuentes. Like it's just funny. It's just funny. But yeah, but again, I get what Nick Fuentes is saying. I get what he's saying. It's kind of like when Clayton Bigsby found out that his wife married him, he divorced her because she was an in-lover. Like, I get it. Because what he's saying is based on a principle, not a practice. So what he's saying is that he's not saying that folks can't fall in love or that all interracial couples are going to be doomed. That's not what he's saying. He's saying that preferentially, it should be the racist sticking with the racist, or at least white being white. And he talks about how he wants his children to look like him. He said he wants his wife to look like him, his children to look like him, his grandchildren. And guess what? That's okay. But we've been conditioned to believe that if a white person says that, they're racist. Black folks say it all the time. Black folks say it all the time about what they want somebody to look like. Black folks, if like say me, right? If I date only light-skinned women, I got a color complex. I'm part of the problem. I'm a colonist. I'm a colorist. Black people ain't satisfied with nothing. So Nick Fuentes saying he wants his family members to look like him is very understandable because black folks want everything to look black. Black folks done made Beethoven black. Black folks done made Beethoven black. Let's continue.
Pouring into the European continent and European Smith, where he
Let me go to another one real quick. So I want to get to where he was. I have a shortened version of the video, but let me see if I can get it.
Yes.
I do.
Like, do you go every Sunday?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, so you're like a committed Catholic. Then obviously, like, you know, the perspectives on family. I mean, I personally.
Why they always play this music, man? Now I gotta go. They always putting some music behind something. That's just foolishness, man. Y'all always got some music like trying to make it sound deep. It ain't deep. People ain't saying nothing deep. People ain't saying nothing deep. No, not this one. My bad, y'all. I'm trying to find this video. I'm sorry. Here we go. I'm sorry, y'all. I got it. Hopefully, this is it. Hopefully.
And sometimes when I see the things that you say, I do think, okay, he doesn't take into account family. Like, it's just Nick. Nick is in his own world, which can be, I think, a quite selfish perspective, which is fine. That's what you're saying. You like being selfish is another way to say what you just said. I like being selfish and I don't want to give of myself to somebody else.
I also think there's something selfless involved, which is to say, I could go and start a family and drag them into a world of mine, which is pretty chaotic. You know, I mean, is this really the kind of a lifestyle? If I'm banned on everything and I can't make a living, I'm banned from banking, I'm banned from credit card processing, I'm getting doxxed, people are showing up to my house trying to kill me, things like that. I also don't appreciate the lecture. You don't know me, you know, so I know you're married, I know you're older than me, but you don't know me, you don't know my life, you don't know my situation. I don't think you're in a position to give me advice, especially as a woman, honestly. I don't think women, you know, this is something in the right wing. We say we're anti-feminist, and then women go around telling men what to do who are not their husbands. And, you know, I don't really buy into that ideologically, but that's besides the point. You know, my life has been tumultuous from the very beginning. From the time I turned 18, people are coming for my neck and trying to get me. And I was kicked out of college. And then, you know, once you're branded as an anti-Semite, before it became cool or popular, can't get a job, can't make a living, get banned from PayPal, all this kind of stuff. You know, that's a very difficult environment to try to have a dating life. What do? I go out on Tinder, I go to a bar and I say, hey, I'm a neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes that the ADL is writing articles about every day. I'm going to start a dating profile on Tinder. People are going to screenshot that, mess with me in all kinds of ways. It's a very difficult predicament actually for me because I took on basically a huge sacrifice at the beginning. And I don't know that you really appreciate that enough. I think that you're somebody who, you know, you had a career in politics for as long as I was fighting a battle. You were at Daily Wire with a contract. You're at Turning Point. You're making good money. You're doing book deals.
Now listen, I loved what Nick Fuentes is saying in this clip. Because basically what he's telling her is any woman, and this is for the men that are listening right now, any woman telling you to go get married, more than likely she's a feminist. She's not telling Nick Fuentes to be married to make him turn up. You know, they used to say behind every good man is a good woman. But she's not telling him to get married to turn up. She's not telling him to get married to put a battery in his back. She's telling him to get married so that he'll shut up. When these women are telling you you need to get married, what they're doing is they're trying to kindle your fire. Because you never hear them say, you should get a woman that's going to propel you. You should get a woman that's going to turn you. They don't say that. They say you need to get married, settle down, have children, live a. They don't, because they don't like what you're saying. Most women in the West are feminists, and an outspoken man is threatening to most women. It just is. I think that Nick Fuentes answered this beautifully, because he said, what kind of dating life can I have? If I chose to take this path, what kind of, just like Paul, what kind of life would Paul have if he tried to get married? In and out of jail, getting shipwrecked, people want to kill him. How could Paul be married? Think about it. How could Nick Fuentes be married? How's he gonna date? I think he's actually a virgin too. But how is he gonna date though? And again, Candace Owens was a part of an arranged marriage. She got married in 17 days and she cheated because it ain't hard marrying the great white prince. That's a no-brainer. He's rich, he's tall, he's blonde with blue eyes, he's handsome, he got an accent. That's a no-brainer for Candace Owens to do. Why wouldn't she say yes? Why wouldn't she say yes in 17 days? But Candace Owens just argued with 20 feminists. So she knows, like you all know, that the crop of women out there that got some sense, that are God-fearing, that have some sense, that aren't feminists, that aren't liberal, the crop of women out here in these Western countries is trash. So telling Nick Fuentes that he should be married is literal sabotage. She was just arguing with 20 feminists, and they were all races, all shapes, all sizes. She saw everything in that room. Just in that room was a great sample set of what's out there. It don't matter if she's white and conservative. It don't matter if she's black and liberal. Most women are feminists. And Candace Owens telling this young man that he needs to be married or get married and he's selfish, she's trying to silence him. She's trying to set him up because she knows the average woman isn't going to be cool with what Nick Fuentes does. Come on, man. Trying to set this man up. This man chose to do this life, so you should respect it. I respect somebody at 18 having conviction. I don't care how folks feel about Nick Fuentes. I respect that. I respect somebody at 18 going what he went through and still staying the course, because I know that most people wouldn't do it. Most people, 99% of the population, would not do what Nick Fuentes did. They wouldn't do it. They would not stay the course from 18. Think about when you was 18, you would have tapped out. So at the end of the day, I respect that. I respect people being convicted at that young age and staying the course. Does he get everything right? No. But then again, who does? Does he have some biased views? Maybe. But then again, who doesn't? When we break down all of these people, honestly, we all have hangups. We all have biases. We all have things we don't like. Like, this is normal human behavior. Slick Global Man said, I'll pass on the majority of this American crap. I already made my choice. I'll put my global experience up against anyone with proof. My ex is still trying to get at me. Listen, I can't knock any man that says, I want to go abroad. I want to go abroad to get abroad. I can't knock any man that says that. I can't, because I know what's out here. And Candace Owens does too. That's why nobody, and I'm going to tell you this right now, Candace Owens is very disingenuous when it comes to her marriage, because she knows good and well that that thing was arranged. She knows that. That man saw her and said, I want to marry her. It wasn't nothing that she prepared for. She didn't prepare. She wasn't a wife. She didn't prepare herself to be a wife. And when that man saw her, he talked about, I was just in awe of her. I wanted to marvel at her. This is just a beta simp. Disgusting. Thank you, Kenya. She playing the game. Thank you. And Candace, you better not block me. You better not give me a copyright strike. So I'm just joking. I'm like, Nick, I'm just joking, Candace. I'm just joking, Candace. I'm just playing. I'm just playing, Candace. I'm just joking. Don't take it serious, Candace. I'm just playing.
You're part of this thing that I'm criticizing and paying a very heavy price for at a time when no one's saying those things, when it's very unpopular. And it's not to say that I'm a victim, because I did it willingly and I love it and I would do it again. But it is to say that, you and I have lived very different lives. It's easy, I think, for you to say you had your husband, have your kids, you got your ducks in a row, made quite a bit of money, then you discovered the truth, and then you went out on a limb. And it's not to say you didn't make sacrifices and it wasn't a risk, and it paid off. You're doing great now, and I congratulate you. But with me, there was no calculation. I mean, I almost want to say I was 17. What's your excuse?
Woo! Listen, man, when I tell you that Nick Fuentes is spitting, he just said, you discovered the truth when you were rich. That ain't the same as discovering the truth at 17. That's two different paths. You discovered the truth when all your ducks was in a row, with a safety net, with a blanket, with a rich husband, with a royal family, with a brand. That's when you discovered the truth, when everything was already set up and established. It's a lot easier to maneuver through that than to do it at 17, do it at 18. That's why he said, what's your excuse? I really respect his answer, because his answer does show me that he does have some wisdom. He does have some understanding. Marceline said that was like a smack, but it was, though. He told her, you discovered the truth, rich. That's not the same thing as discovering the truth at 17. Those are two different truths. When she discovered the truth, Candace Owens was pretty much Candace Owens and set in her ways. When Nick Fuentes discovered the truth, he hadn't even become who he even was. He ain't even become a man yet. He was a boy. Two different paths, two different walks. So yes, I feel him. You are in no position, Candace Owens, to lecture me on anything. Nothing.
I was 17 and I woke up and I went balls to the wall, bucket of ice cold water, as you say. I made a lot of enemies, and maybe that wasn't wise, but I told the truth and I took on extremely heavy cost for my personal life. It basically has made it so that I can't have a personal life. I don't even have many friends. It's a little more complicated, I think, than maybe you understand.
I love his answer, because what he's saying is that I don't think about what he said. I don't have a social life. I don't have very many friends. In any other scenario, you all would say that type of person is probably going against the grain. In any other scenario, that type of person would be viewed as a person that wasn't part of the machine. And I believe him, because there's no way it's gonna be hard for him to find a woman. His name is Mud. Because the moment somebody wants to date him, they're going to go to social media or go to, YouTube or go to Google, and they're going to not date him. So the type of woman that's going to really support Nick Fuentes either doesn't exist or she's probably in some jungle or village somewhere. I'm gonna be honest with you. The irony of it is the woman that probably would actually support Nick Fuentes is probably a black woman. There's a young lady that I follow, and she is like, she's a black woman. I mean, she's a black woman, dreads, you know, a little overweight, but she fits the profile. And she loves Nick Fuentes. I think she's conservative, maybe. But she loves Nick Fuentes. I mean, she loves him. And so the irony of this is that Nick Fuentes wants to get this white woman, but I don't believe he gonna be able to get her. I think he'll have a better chance getting a black woman. I'll be honest with you. I think he has a better chance of getting a black woman. Based on that girl's page, I think he has a way better chance. Way better chance.
Ceding a point on, well, all of these other Middle Eastern countries, no, you wouldn't want to live there. You'd want to live in Israel. In my mind, I'm going, well, because you just keep bombing the crap out of them if they ever try to get ahead. I remember watching this clip of him saying that, going, why don't these countries get ahead? And kind of going back in my mind to the Gaddafi speech where he was speaking essentially about, you know, here's what we got to do in Libya to get ahead. Here's what we're going to do with the dollar. And we're going to be.
But Diamone, that's what I said. I said that she's more manipulative savvy than she is intellectually savvy. I said that. She's more manipulative savvy than she is intellectually savvy. And don't get me wrong, I still listen to Candace Owens' content and Nick Fuentes. Like these people, let me just say this. Like, I don't have anything personal against these people. I can watch her content and not get upset. I can watch Nick Fuentes and not get upset. Like, I can watch them and be entertained. You know why? Because I know that all have sinned and fallen short of God's glory. So I'm no better than Candace Owens. I'm no better than Nick Fuentes. I'm not. I know that we all have sinned and fallen short of God's glory. So I can watch these people and just enjoy them for their content. They don't have a moral obligation to me. They don't have a moral obligation to nothing. This is their life, their career, and you can tune in or tune out. So I don't get mad at none of these folks. I ain't got nothing. I wasn't mad at Joe Biden. Y'all didn't see me cussing Joe Biden out. Y'all didn't see me cussing Kamala Harris out. I ain't mad at these people. I think Kamala Harris is quite entertaining. I thought Joe Biden was quite entertaining. Trump too. I don't have anything personally invested in none of these people. I don't get upset when they talk and they have a point. I don't. And I don't agree with people being demonetized, deplatformed, can't get a bank account, because I've been through that. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's not right. One guy said he thinks that Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson should be thrown in jail. That's wrong. He should be condemned for saying that. It should be condemnation for somebody saying that Candace Owens or Nick Fuentes or Tucker Carlson should be in jail for their opinion. And many people on the right would co-sign that. Many people on the right would co-sign that. Many I love Israel, I stand with Israel would co-sign Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes going to jail or Tucker Carlson. I guarantee if they got arrested for anti-Semitism, people would be celebrating it. It'd be all kind of videos on YouTube, all kind of folks that y'all thought was pro-free speech, pro-people's freedom in America. You'll see so many folks celebrating them getting locked up. Guarantee it. It's absolutely disgusting. Paul said he got a wife. Well, listen, Paul, I'm not married. I don't have any children. So if you got a wife, you got to work and 3 kids, you ain't got time for none of this. You ain't got time for none of this. All your stuff is done with preparing for what's to come. Now listen, if I had a wife and children, I'd probably be on there talking a little bit different. I don't know. I'd probably have a whole different tune. I'd probably be talking more about survival, getting your family straight, talking about, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not married. I don't know. I don't know. But I know I wouldn't be getting upset at Candace Owens or Nick Fuentes or Tucker Carlson. I wouldn't be getting upset though. You usually ain't got to watch them.
Progressive and this and that. And they killed him. And then what happened to those Libyan refugees? Suddenly they're now pouring into, just like he said was going to happen, that they're now pouring into the European continent, and Europeans are complaining, who are these people? And so the question is, are we allowing, because I'm like, Africa's a pretty rich country. Like, why aren't Africans controlling the diamond trade? Who's taking all of the diamonds so that they can't control the diamond trade? And how long have these people been doing that, being essentially culture vultures? That's kind of the...
And see, this talking point is a liberal talking point. If somebody comes to your country and they take control of your diamond industry, that's your fault. The reason why someone's able to go to a country and take it over is because it isn't developed. Africa has been there for thousands of years. Black folks have told me that Black people are trillions of years old. You mean to tell me in a trillion years, y'all couldn't build something? So I'm of the impression that y'all need to get taken over. Y'all need to get colonized. You are telling me that y'all are kings and queens, gods and goddesses. You all are telling me that you are the first, that you created everything, but yet you can't manage your own diamonds, your own minerals. I don't respect it. So I applaud all those people coming over there and setting up shop. I applaud them. Why would I walk by a gold mine and not get the gold? You're asking the world to see a gold mine in Africa and then not go and get some of that gold. That's insanity. That's insanity. So ain't nobody picking on Africa. Africa picks on themselves. The only way somebody can come and set up an industry is if you don't have an industry there. Otherwise, they'd be competing with your industry. It will be a competition. But to come and take over, that means y'all been sitting around for trillions of years doing what? Doing what? Let's continue.
Journey that I've been on now in terms of really trying to go back and look into history to see what's happened. And I never trust myself when I have a perspective now, because I realize how much of my opinions and beliefs were shaped by the public school system. And so I don't think you're right. I think that there has been a very sophisticated effort to, just like you would say now, in terms of people that are intentionally attacking Anglo-Saxons. I'm just learning about that there were these books that were written to, we must genocide the Anglo-Saxons, that were going on for a lot longer than I realized. History didn't begin with World War II, but I think it would take a lot of time to kind of unpack that.
Yeah.
Like, are we stopping people from getting ahead just because, I don't know.
That just sounds, I mean, being honest.
So again, are we stopping people from getting ahead? Listen to what you're saying, Miss Owens, Miss Farmer. Listen to what you're saying. You're saying that these people were around since the beginning of time. You're saying that these people were around since the beginning of time. And you're telling me there's some primitive white people who haven't been around since the beginning of time were able to come and set up shop. That's an indictment on the Africans, not the white people. You mean to tell me you couldn't figure it out in the trillion years? Thank you, Janan TV. She sounds like a progressive because she is. Because she is. I want you to go look at the evolution chart, and I want you to see when the Homo sapien came about, when the actual human being, even a court, came about. White folks ain't been around that long. So maybe God created white people to give the earth a chance, because it's been white folks that's been spreading the gospel around the world. White people. White people have spread the gospel around the world. White people have taken the arrows and the bullets and the swords to spread God's word around the world, not the Bliggitties. Not the Bliggitties.
With you, that just sounds to me like a left-wing argument when they say, why don't these countries get ahead? Colonialism, you're a colonizer. It's like, okay, but when we got there, they had no development. When we got to Africa, they had no technological development.
So you
no
think
recorded
that
history.
even if we weren't at war, and sure, you could say that you think that's a leftist argument. I would only push back on that because I've learned so much about just like recent history that I didn't know. But you think that the Middle East, like if we had done nothing in terms of the Middle East, that they would just be savages and just be like, America didn't do anything it doesn't set anything backwards, and you're just like bombing a place.
Yeah, kind of. I think that we did set them back because when they don't have political order, it prevents development and investment and things like that. But, again, when you look at the antecedents of all these, the history didn't start, like you said, with World War II in the 20th century. There's a reason that European civilization created this enormous gap between them and everybody else. And I don't think it was that it was white supremacy or it was unfair or something like that. I think it's because Europeans are smarter. I think that on average, Europeans
So to
are
use your
smarter.
argument.
So this is where I really disagree with Nick Fuentes. If you think about it, white people usually live in the harshest climates. And I've said this. They live in the harshest climates. So if they weren't innovative, if they weren't trendsetters, if they weren't open to new ideas, they would die. So white people live in Antarctica now. Like, white people live everywhere that people don't want to live. Think about it. Even Carnival Cruise Line goes everywhere where it's warm. Carnival Cruise, all on the equator. The Norwegian Cruise Line or the other ones, it's always by the ice glaciers. So even when white people want to enjoy themselves and relax, they still in a harsh environment. They still in it. So I don't think it's I don't think it's an IQ thing more than it's a survival thing. We got to survive. It ain't hard surviving in a place where there's fruit on the trees. It's not difficult. The closer you get to the equator, the less advancements you're going to see because life is easier. So white people built their culture around survival. That's why they love nature. That's why they love climbing mountains. It's part of their DNA at this point, I believe. And I said this before, white people climb Mount Everest. White people do this stuff. White people have an adventurous spirit. The Bible says that every man's given a measure of faith. I see that literally manifested with white people. White people do all kind of Ironmans, push their bodies to the limit. White people challenge themselves in ways y'all wouldn't even believe. But I don't think it's IQ. I just think that's the culture of that people because they had to survive. They had to survive. They was able to survive so well to where now white folks put themselves in the most extreme situations to see if they can conquer. Simulated students said the West was established by the gospel of Jesus Christ and nothing to do with IQ. Those men were moved by their faith. I agree. It wasn't IQ. I agree. So when he says it's smarter, this is where he starts to gets lost in the conversation because you're taking intelligence and I'm taking character. Just because someone is smart doesn't mean they're going to build something. Like you have to apply the brains with the actions. So it's not just about them being intelligent. They actually have to be like stimulated students. So they have to be men of faith. Joe Nobody said Candace got a real hair. She do. Right, Paul. They jump into frozen water every year, every winter for fun.
Against you, that could be said about Ashkenazis. So if you're sitting here saying, I believe in some conspiracy and that it's a coordinated effort and blah, 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 they could look at you and say, that's a leftist argument. We're just smarter.
I think they are smart.
They
I
are
think
smart.
I think
Smarter.
they're
The
probably,
smartest.
Well, I would say this. I would say they're probably as smart.
Now, Candace Owens just said that the Ashkenazi Jews are the smartest. If you go watch this interview, it's going to be very clear her stance in this interview. She said the Ashkenazi Jews are the smartest. Now watch Nick Fuentes counter this.
As the smartest white race, but the difference between the Jews and the white people is that they work as a team. And so if you look at, for example, things like transportation, white people invented every mode of transportation. Railroad, cars, airplanes, all of it. When you look at fields of knowledge, white people invented all that. Chemistry, anthropology, all that stuff. So white people really did give birth to the modern world in a major way. Jewish people are high verbal IQ because they're lawyers, they're rabbis. That's what a rabbi is a lawyer. That's what the Talmud is. It's a lawyerly back and forth. And so they're skilled at some things, and you're not wrong. They're extremely educated, they're extremely intelligent. They're a unique case where, 2% of the population overrepresented 2,000%. Are they 2,000% smarter? Answer is no. Because if you look at the standardized testing, the top scores in the high school standardized tests are almost all Asians in math and science. Asians aren't overrepresented in power. It's Jewish people. So Jewish people are not, proportionally as more intelligent as they are more overrepresented. And that goes to their real superpower, which is they're an organized minority. An organized minority will be the disorganized majority. As far as Africa is concerned.
Did you hear what that man just said? That man said their greatest skill set is that they're an organized minority. And an organized minority will defeat an unorganized majority. What? He just dropped a bar. He just dropped a bar. Yes, rabbis are teachers. You're right. Rabbis are teachers. But I think he was equating the rabbis questioning. I don't know. I think he was kind of going with like the questioning and I don't know. But yeah, rabbis are teachers. Yes, they are teachers. Beauty for Ashes said that secular Jews are the ones in power. Well, if there's such thing as in power. T. Kane said a Korean man has the highest IQ. But what he just said was a bar. An organized minority will defeat an unorganized majority. And keep in mind, Black people could do the same thing that the Jews do. But you know why they don't want to do it? Because of pride. You see, the Jews aren't going to let pride get in the way of the group. Now, they may let pride get in the way of everything else, but not with the group. Everything shuts off with the group. And that's why they're successful. The reason why Black folks aren't successful is because everything gets destroyed with the group. It's the opposite. With Black folks, it's the opposite of that. Everything gets destroyed with the group. So when Black folks come together, nothing gets accomplished. Even when Black people were free and they had secret societies, they were still excluding darker skinned Black people. When Black people were free and they were professionals and they were educated and they were living good lives, when they created secret societies, they said the dark skinned Blacks can't come in. You can't blame white folks for that. You can't blame white folks for that. That's something else. The Jews would never do that. The Hispanics wouldn't do that. No other group of people would do that. In a foreign land? Thank you, Tierra. The brown paper bag test. Thank you. No other group of people would do that. In a quote unquote, in a foreign land, you want to divide yourselves. No, nobody would do it. But guess who did it? Black people did it. And they're still doing it today. You can go on TV right now and say, I love dark skin. I don't really care too much for light skin, but I love dark skin. Nobody gonna say nothing, even though that's an offensive thing to say. Black folks talk about light-skinned black people crazy. Light skin, you acting light-skinned black men are weak. You think you this because you light-skinned.
They didn't have the wheel. We got there, they didn't have the wheel. And it's unfortunate. It's not anything that people are happy about. I don't believe that makes Africans inferior. But I do think that explains their relative level of development that has been persistent over centuries, millennia.
Yeah, I'd probably just disagree with that point altogether. Okay, so then at least.
Yeah, Candace Owens. This is why she's disingenuous. Why do you disagree? Think about it. He gave you a mouthful. Why are you disagreeing? Tell me, what are you disagreeing about? Tell me. I just disagree. What do you disagree with? What he said? What do you disagree about? I just disagree. Huh? The mighty Candace Owens, you just disagree? Come on, man. Stop. Disingenuous. What do you disagree about what he said? He just told you that doesn't make Africans inferior. Listen, there are pros and cons of every race of people. You can say black people have higher fertility, higher muscle density. You can say that this group may have a higher IQ. Each group of people has something, an attribute. So it's not that just one group is this, nobody else is nothing. Each group has something. And I talk about the gifts that each group of people have. Black people have influence. Black people have influence. If it ain't nothing else black folks got, they have influence.
Reason welfareism has definitely, black people. So I'm trying to understand if you think that it's all black people are like this, or if your world is kind of colored by this is what's going on in America. This has failed for 1,000 reasons. Welfareism has definitely, black people in 1940s stand up. My grandfather, I talk about that denigration and the corrosion of culture. Yeah. That's happening. White, black. What?
It's only 57 likes. Am I tripping? It's only 57 likes. And it's 160 people on here, and it's only 57 likes. That's crazy. No, Figgy. No. This is intentional. Candace Owens is not dumb. She's not dumb. She's not strategic. This is all planned out, Figgy. This is not a spur of the moment interview. This is all planned out. Stop. We're not going to do this. You're not going to follow Candace Owens for her brilliant mind and her being savvy and all this stuff, but then think when it comes to Nick Fuentes, she's just upset and emotional. We're not going to do that. Candace Owens is very calculated. She's very sophisticated. This ain't her first rodeo. This ain't her first time around the block. Candace Owens knows what she's doing. She is separating herself from the far right, from the anti-Semites. This is very clear in this interview. We're not going to do that. We are not going to do that. No.
whatever you want to name it, there is this intentional corrosion of culture. So do you think it's literally, well, this is just what a Black person is when they come out? Or do you think that post welfare, LBJ, Great Society, this is what Black Americans have become, and I have a right to respond to that and say that as a white man, I don't want to live there?
Well, I think it's more nature than people would like to believe. There's this classic tension of, is it nature, is it nurture, is it cultural, or is it intrinsic, is it racial? And I've always been on the latter side of this among conservatives. Conservatives like to say it's all culture. Black America is the way it is because of hip hop music and the Great Society and that kind of stuff. And I think the uncomfortable reality is a big part of it is intrinsic. One of the big arguments against the abolition of slavery in the 1860s is that.
So her name, her YouTube channel is Bring the Asteroid News. She loves, but she actually, so let me say this. She's very intelligent and thought-provoking. So she's not just playing him because she believes he's sensational. She's actually playing him because she agrees with his talking points and she backs it up. I have another video of where Trump told Benjamin Netanyahu to chill out on the Gaza thing. And then the next day, he just went it's just, I don't know. So, but I'm going to put her in here real quick. Her name is Bring the Asteroids News. Bring the Asteroid News. But she does give great commentary, very thought-provoking. Like I say, man, I follow all kind of people. If y'all look at my YouTube subscribe list, I'm talking about everything from nature channels to the criminal channels to the court. I'll be watching everything. But yes, so I argue culture a lot because most of the time a person's going to choose their culture over their IQ. So, but white people were in places where they couldn't afford to not have their culture be about survival. So part of their IQ is heavily linked to their culture for survival reasons. It's not the same in places where it doesn't get cold and it's fruit on the trees and it's beaches. Go out there and go fishing. You ain't really got to hunt like that. It's just, but anyway, but culture plays a huge factor in what we are seeing. Oftentimes, you see the conservatives or these far right people, they'll be showing videos of Black people and saying, see, that's a low IQ. Okay, I hate the term even far right. I'll just say that people like the Nick Fuentes and them, where they'll play these videos. Another one is Beholden to Truth. They'll play a video and they'll say, see, low IQ. I see the same video and I say, no, that's not low IQ. That's low character. Because they don't ever factor in that Black people are taught not to like them. So when they're interacting with somebody white, they're not being dumb because they're dumb. They're acting that way because it's a sign of rebellion against you because you're white. They know good and well, right from wrong, they know, but they want to get back at you. So they put up all these videos talking about low IQ this and low. I'm like, dude, these folks know what's going on. I grew up around I talk to Black folks. Black people know what's going on. Black people know what's going on. But when it comes to white people, they don't like y'all. They believe you all are oppressing them, that you've taken something from them. They don't like you. So when you are engaging with them, they don't like you. They've been taught not to like you. They've been programmed they've been conditioned not to like you. So what y'all are calling low IQ isn't really low IQ. They don't like you. So anything they can do to get under your skin, to hinder you, to hurt you, to block you, to stop you, to get you, whatever they can do, they're going to do it. It's just that simple. So culture plays a major part in what you are seeing. If you take some black children and raise them in Europe, it's not going to be an IQ problem. You never hear about this IQ problem with all the kids in England. You never see. Why is it always they go to Africa? Go to England and do the study. Not saying don't do the study. I'm just saying my point is that if you raise a black child outside of black culture, you're going to get the same results you get with these quote unquote white kids. If you raise the child outside of black culture, you're going to get the same thing you get with the white kids. It's no different than Superman being raised on Earth and not being raised on Krypton. It's the same way as Superman acting like he's a human being on Earth because he's raised around human beings. It's the same way Superman puts on glasses and has an unassuming job to blend in with humanity because he sees humanity as weak and pathetic. So he said, let me dumb myself down as much as possible so that I can blend in with the people. But then if somebody came from Krypton and saw him, they'd be like, man, what are you doing? What are you doing with these commoners, with these earthlings? What are you doing being on their level? It's culture. It's culture. If you raise a black child in black culture, they probably going to be doomed. It's just that simple.
You know, when Europeans colonized Africa, they hadn't discovered the wheel. There's no two-story buildings. There's no...
We're going to say a quick prayer. May we grow in discipline and feel your presence with him every step of the way. In Jesus' name, amen. 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 Yes, Edgar, environment plays a role too. If you wake up in the morning and it's destruction when you go outside, if it's trash outside, if it's dope fiends outside, crackheads outside, prostitution, gang violence, if it's all that stuff going on, it's going to affect how you think, how you do work, everything. So yes, on top of culture, environment as well, yes.
Writing. There's no written language. Missionaries had to go to Africa in the last century and invent it for the African people because there's no recorded history. They didn't have writing.
Oh, shoot. Oh, my goodness. Can you write that disclaimer again, Angel Wings? Oh. So I'm looking for the disclaimer that she had put about. Oh, I hit the wrong button. I'm sorry, y'all. I found it. Thank you. I found it. Somebody said it was a school in England where it was a low income area, but the test scores are good. Yeah, I know it's culture. That's all. It ain't no. Come on, man. Why are we playing games? I got two cousins right now that are lawyers, highly intelligent. But guess what? One actually was in the culture. The other one really wasn't in the culture, fringely in the culture. But the one thing they both had in common was they read. They read a lot. Beauty for Ashes said, yes, there was a school in England with the strictest headmaster, and it's in a low-income area, and their test scores outperform other schools because of the school's high standards. Yeah. Come on, man. What are we talking about?
Egypt is not in Africa.
Well, Egypt is a different race. The Egyptians were not black.
Okay, but you said when they went to Africa, so I just want to.
The interior of Africa in the late 19th century, scrambled
Okay,
for
so
Africa.
we're now knocking Egypt out of Africa.
Candace Owens, you know exactly what he's saying. Stop. Candace Owens, you know exactly what he's saying. You know that Egypt ain't Africa. Stop that, y'all. Y'all know that Egypt ain't Africa. Y'all got one Egypt, one section of Egypt, and there ain't nothing like it nowhere else in Africa. Y'all got one section of Egypt, and ain't nothing else like it in Africa. It'd be different if it was Egypt all over Africa. It ain't. It's one Egypt. That's it. So stop with the cap. Stop. That is a contextual statement. You know good and well what he means when he talks about Africa. He's talking about sub-Saharan Africa. You know that. Stop, Candace.
Oh, Egypt is part of northern Africa,
Right, but
sub-Saharan
it's
Africa.
Africa. You said Africa, so it's not. I'm not trying to get a gotcha. I'm just responding. You're saying
Okay, sure.
Africa.
Yeah.
It's in Africa. It's Egypt. It's kind of ridiculous that there was no written language.
Well,
so I'm just trying to get you to
Sure.
you know,
Egyptians are not Africans.
If I'm not pushing back, the internet will. So you know,
Egyptians are not racial Africans. When I say African, I'm saying sub-Saharan Africans.
sub-Saharan. Okay,
Black
say that.
people yeah, because it is a different race. In sub-Saharan Africa, and Europeans did not penetrate that until late 19th century. They didn't have any of this. To the extent that you have infrastructure in Africa, it's from the Muslims in the Sahel and the Maghreb in northern Africa, where the Arabs colonized. And then you had, Carthage and Egypt, you had ancient civilizations. But sub-Saharan Africa, they didn't have that. You take these people out of that land and put them here, and they're enslaved people. You let them free in a modern, liberal republic. They're not going to succeed. It's not going to go well for them. And that was one of the arguments against abolition. People said if you free them without any assimilation, without any kind of process for them to be acclimated, they're going to die. And that's exactly what happened. Many of the bottom 10% of the lowest IQ Africans just died off for generations. And it had a, pardon the expression, but it had a eugenic effect, because over time, if the weakest are dying off, that's one argument for why blacks in America have a standard deviation higher IQ than the blacks in sub-Saharan Africa. So,
and again, I really gotta go because my time is almost up. I'll finish. Let me finish this. But again, I don't agree with the whole IQ thing. I don't. I believe that if you give children, let's just say just random children, the best situation to grow up in and learn in, you're going to pretty much get the same results. I don't think you're going to get vastly different results. If every child's held to the same standard and every child gets to have the same environment and the same culture, you're going to get the same results. Why wouldn't you? I don't know.
So I do believe there is something intrinsic going on there. And what makes people uncomfortable about this is the idea that it's unchangeable. There's something about, and this is why I'm a Catholic, I'm
going to do a part 2, and I'm going to show you all the pyramids in the Sudan.
Do have an inherent desire for universalism. We do believe that there's a common humanity and a common human community and all of that. We hate the idea.
No, the Aztecs have pyramids in the Americas. Yes, the Aztecs have pyramids in the Americas. Yes, they do. But we are talking about Africa. I didn't say there was no pyramid nowhere else in the world. I said you don't see Egypt duplicated in Africa.
That we're born a certain way and we can never change. And that's just the way it is. And we even think about this in terms of, it's become not so popular these days to tell children you can be whatever you want to be. Because we know that's not the case. Some people are tall, some people are short, some people are smart, some dumb, some ugly, some handsome.
So basically what he's saying is just accept the fact you have a low IQ because you can't change it. And it's been studies that show that the more you read, the more you increase your IQ. Like there's studies on things that increase your IQ. I mean, this is where his argument is disingenuous because I don't know. it gets disingenuous though. You know. But let's continue.
Why? By the way, inceldom is a big part of this also.
So you believe these are immutable characteristics that are assigned at birth?
I think that, yes.
For the most part.
Things like race, all those attributes are immutable and unchangeable. And
But they
we
have
to
changed.
grapple with
Just
that.
factually speaking, they have changed.
They change over time, over the generations.
Okay, so then you don't think it's immutable, because if this was an
For
immutable
an individual person.
Okay, so you're saying that if you are born at this space and time as
Right.
a Black person in America, here is the cards that you're dealt with, and you can't change that over time.
Something like IQ does not change. No, it doesn't change wildly. It only changes genetically over. IQ is a big one, and that changes. That's a genetic trait. And so that can change over the generations, but not, you can't take an individual that's 75 IQ, which is the average in West Africa, and take them to 100.
So two dumb people can't produce a smart person.
I believe they can, actually.
Yeah.
But
So does that kind of debunk your...
Like just think about genetics, right? Think about how silly the argument is, right? And I want to use just a simple analogy. But I'll use a simple analogy. Like, say you had, thank you, Angel Wings. Thank you so much. Say you had, excuse me, a litter of dogs, right? If you have, let's say a female dog has 4 puppies. Out of those 4 puppies, one of those puppies is going to be more aggressive. One of it's going to be more timid. One of them is going to be able to catch on to learn faster. Like, this is how stuff varies with genes. The genes aren't like a factory where it's just like, that's not how that works. It's not just 75 IQ, 75 IQ, 75. That's not how that works. That is not how things work. There are folks that are born athletic and folks that are born with no athleticism. There are folks, like, it's not just that cut and dry when it comes to how we're made. It takes like 14 people to make up one of us. We're pulling genes from 14 people. I don't know. This is where the argument always loses me with this IQ thing. I just think it's cap. Because it's just an easy way to not deal with the actual culture issue. It's just, to me, it's an easy way because the culture issue is so nuanced, because now you got to talk about what? You got to talk about communism. Think about if you go to IQ route, you just say they got low IQ, that's it. But if you go to culture route, that's way more nuanced, because you got to talk about all the factors contributing to what's happening to Black people. And like I said before, we've only seen a group of people be programmed in these modern times is Black people. Black folks have been getting programmed for about 100 years, literal programming. And we've seen it with our own eyes. The only difference is that they built a smoke screen or a cover around it through Hollywood, through the school system, in the church. But make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. Black people have been under severe programming for about 100 years plus. Programming, propaganda, you best believe that's going to affect. There's been so much programming with Black people to where even when they see a standardized test, they automatically think it's racist. And I've always said this. If you make everything about race, the color of your skin, it's going to lower your IQ, because you're going to shut off your critical thinking skills. You're not going to think critically. You're going to look at every situation and say, it's because I'm Black. That's going to dumb you down to a tremendous level. And that's what's happening to most of the Black people out there. Dave 817, shout out Blanche. Thank you for your shows. Pray for me. I joined the military and I'm headed to basic training tomorrow morning. Dave, we are going to pray for you right now, Dave. in the name of Jesus, Dave, we're going to put a protective covering over you. You're going to have a long and prosperous and blessed military career. You are going to touch people's lives. You're going to bring people to Christ. Dave, you are going to have a great career. It's going to make you a better man. You're going to have a family, and you're going to get paid. And you're going to get paid. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you for sharing that, Dave. Congratulations. You're going to be in our prayers. But thank you, Goddess Navi, for moderating today. Thank you so much. And thank you, The Green Journey, Angels Wings. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Listen, I love you all. And I thank y'all for tuning in. Hopefully this, Candace, listen, I said some stuff in this video. Don't take it personal. I just was voicing my opinion. It was all jokes. I was joking. Don't strike my video. I love your hair, Candace. Your hair look great, Candace. You look good. You look great in this video, Candace. I love your hair. You look great. Don't strike my video, Candace, please. Thank you. But listen, I love y'all. And I thank y'all so much for tuning in. Check out my boy, Adonis, Freeman 72. No, I didn't get deplatformed. I just deactivated my account. Somebody told me to deactivate my account to see if it could shake me out of the shadow ban and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna try it out to see if it works, Donis. But no, I'm not deplatformed. I just deactivated my account. So I don't know what's going to happen with it. I don't know, but hopefully it works. And if it doesn't, let's go back to normal. But anyway, listen, I love y'all. Y'all give a Goddess Navi a hand. Y'all give Angel Wings a hand. And follow Adonis Freeman 72. Great content. Please follow him. Okay, Angel Wings / Green Journey. My bad. Thank you all for joining Blanche's live stream tonight. Your presence is a blessing. And Psalms 133-1 says, how good and pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity. Amen. And on that note, I will be departing. I love y'all, and I will see you all on Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday. I love y'all. Thank you.